Happy New Year. So, my name's Linda. This is Lilybug's Library, and it is almost time to say goodbye to 2023. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to help it out the door. So, we are going to concentrate today on wrapping up the few books that we have left to talk about, and then we'll move into 2024. So, thank you too for anyone who filled out the poll that I had about the new logo. I'm glad so many of you think it's cute, the same as I do, so we're going to leave it be. So we've got four books to talk about today, and the first one is an ARC that I got from Book Sirens, and it's called Under the Cocoon Moon. And a thank you to Book Sirens and the author and publisher for giving me a copy of that, an advance copy. So this one is really good. It love the cover on it. It's very pretty and kind of magical looking, and it does still take place over Christmas. I know it wasn't part of my original list, but that's the way things go. So this one needed, it comes out quite soon, so it needed to be finished off before the 6th of January. So I, read through it over the holidays as well. So it's about Olivia Penn. So she lives in Apple Station, Virginia. Now, does that sound like a place that nothing bad could ever happen? I mean, you don't get much more wholesome than Apple Station, right? So that was a good title for the town. And so she does a few articles for her local paper. So she is doing an article about different recipes over Christmas. So her father is helping with it. She lives with him, and he's discovered he has this whole new love of baking because he's baking all these things for this article, and then helping to put in the recipes and all this. So he's very sweet, really nice character. So then she, as she's working at the local paper, apparently the year before, her best friend, who was also working there as an investigative reporter, dies. And I believe there could be maybe, I don't know if there's a book before this that talks about that, or if we just find that out. But anyway, she's passed away. So one day Olivia comes out of the newspaper office, goes to get in her car, and someone's blocking her off. And so she gets out, and she's, this guy's apologizing and everything. But then he tells her the real reason that, this has happened. He thinks that she's pain, and he gives her a message from this guy named Mac that she's supposed to meet at, I don't know, midnight or something in the park, or, like just something really sketchy, right? So anyway, she doesn't tell him she's not pain. She takes the information and leaves. So she goes home and she starts talking to her father about it, and they contact her next door neighbor who is in security, whatever that means. But her next door neighbor is known for keeping people safe. So her father and her next door neighbor and her all go out on this, stakeout sort of thing to find this guy. So they find out that the police officer that Olivia has been dating is his family. This guy says is involved in this, or could be involved in this jewel heist. And she doesn't want to believe it. She's just starting to get to know this police officer whose name is Preston, and his father has passed away, but apparently his father was involved in this jewel heist. And so she's, she doesn't know what to do about this and all this information, and she doesn't know whether to tell him or not tell him, and she doesn't want to kind of ruin what they're starting. So she starts to investigate it and find out what's going on and why they think he was involved. So there's a lot of twists and turns in it, a lot of different characters that come in, and you're not sure if, how involved they are and if they're on the right side or the wrong side of all of this. So it turns out to be fascinating, and this jewel that they're looking for is called the Star of Athens, and I'm kind of picturing like the Hope Diamond. It sounds very elaborate. So really like the characters, like the way that they interacted. Enjoyed the relationship between her and her father, which was very sweet. So I would definitely give it 5 out of 5 stars. So I was really happy with that one. So the next one that we read was Slashing Through the Snow, and this is the one that it's the third in the Christmas tree Christmas Tree Farm Mysteries. And this one still has Holly White in it and all the great characters from the other books. And in this one, Cookie, who's like the grandmotherly type, only very feisty. I mean, not that grandmothers aren't feisty, but some are, some aren't. And Cookie gives Holly this large nutcracker as a Christmas gift. And it's got the jaws that actually clamp down on a nut and crack it. So anyway, kind of cute. But they're standing there talking in what's essentially a closed room, but there's like a little slit in the door or whatever. And they don't think anybody's around. And there's this reviewer who has been in the inn, uh, really a pain in the butt, right? Like she wants turn down service and she wants all of these very entitled things. It's an inn. It's like it's not the Ritz Carlton or something. So anyway, Cookie says something, joking about this person needing to be hit with Christmas spirit, and she's, kind of waving the nutcracker around. So somebody hears her. The person ends up dead, and of course, the main suspect is Cookie, whose fingerprints are all over this nutcracker. So it goes on from there with Holly trying to solve this mystery before Christmas happens and before Ray's mother's wedding, because Cookie needs to be involved in all this and she doesn't want her going to jail, so it's very much a kind of a race against time thing to get this all taken care of. And of course her boyfriend Evan is not happy that she's putting herself in harm's way again and asking people all these questions, and he's getting very frustrated with her and she's getting very frustrated with him. So in some ways it's I really like the story, and I do give it 5 out of 5. I think it hurt my heart more that it was Cookie this time. Because she is such a lovable character. So anyway, by the end of the story, I confess that there were things that went on. I ended up crying through the end of the story. So take that for what it's worth, good or bad. But it was very good. So the next one was Jingle Bells Rifle Shells, which hubby and I have been reading for quite some time. Reading at night, we don't get a lot read, but some. So this one is about Blake Brumley, who he's the star of these hunting and fishing shows, and he's got a daughter who he named Bella, who he's always doing these shows with. So he has her dressed in camo. They're going out hunting. They're fishing. They're doing all these things. He has this big, massive mansion that's all decked out in the same way, like everything's camo. It's over the top. And this is all the girl gets to wear too, is things that are camo. So they're at this shopping mall, and he's trying to get her to put on this swimsuit outfit for a photo shoot. She won't do it. She thinks it's too skimpy. She doesn't want to. She's uncomfortable. And they're having this big argument. So in the midst of this, somebody shoots him. And, all chaos, happens. Everything breaks loose. And so she's not devastated he's gone, because they've got a very, rough relationship, but she doesn't know what happened. So along come these two private eyes, Heather and Steve, and they come to help her, and they take a lot of, I guess, hard luck cases, so they kind of, brought her under their wing, calmed her down, told her what to tell people so that she didn't get accused of this. And they go on from there. So it turns out that Bella is actually adopted. And so that's why, there just wasn't the same feeling there, maybe, that there could have been. Not that you can't for adopted parents, but the way he treated her. And so she doesn't know what to do. Like he apparently pushed away everyone that was part of her life. And so he's fired them. He's, even the person he was married to, who was acting as Bella's mother, he just pushed her out. So it's her trying to kind of come to terms with the way that her life is going. And she hires Steve and Heather to also find her parents because she knows they're out there somewhere. And they're trying to tell her, like, yeah, they might be, but, they may not, want to have a relationship with you. So anyway, it's all they're trying to find out who killed Blake Brumley. They're trying to find her parents, and in the midst of all this, Steve is blind, and so it's also him, navigating the way things are going. So that's kind of brings me to the little bit of a sticking point because the book itself was good, a little slow at times, but it's I would give it a I would give it a solid 3.5, round it up to 4. And one main reason I wouldn't give it more is the way that they dealt with Steve. So there are times that he'll come out with something, that he has figured out through his other senses, but they also kind of baby him. And I don't like that, and Wonderful Husband really didn't like that, because he too is blind, and he didn't like the fact that they just kind of over the top, right? Like this guy has been blind a long time in the story, right? Like, and yet they're still, leading him to chairs and, cutting up his meat and, it just different things that, if a person really was blind, they would have figured out how to do this stuff. It's not something that most people, let other people do for them for very long. So in that way, it's like, yeah, okay, maybe a little more research on that part of it. But the story itself was good, and I did like the character of Steve and Heather, his partner. I liked, the girl, Bella. Wasn't um, she wasn't kind of ruined by all of this. Like she wasn't entitled or hateful or, any of those things. She was just grateful for the help. So anyway, the characters were good. The storyline was good. It was just, like I said, a few little things here and there that made me think, I can't give it quite as high a mark as I'd like to, but still good. Okay, so the next one, and I guess the last one, is called Death in the Park, and another one that was not on my list, but but I had finished what I was reading on or listening to on Audible, and this one was there, and I thought, all right, we're gonna start a new series, so I threw that one in. Turns out it does take place around Christmas time too, so it all worked out for me. Okay, so with this one. It's about someone named Sunny, and she comes home to, to Firefly Junction, but I can't remember if they said where that was. But anyway, to a place called Firefly Junction. And she, excuse me, she opens her own, or she's in the midst of opening her own bed and breakfast. She's trying to clean up this inn, which I guess is in pretty bad shape, get that all fixed up, and open it up as a bed and breakfast. Now, the inn's supposed to be haunted. She doesn't believe it. But, one of her sisters likes to do seances, and, so I mean, it's, the sister wants her to find the ghost, and Sunny says, like, there is no ghost, just let this go. So she's got a couple sisters living there. And while she's trying to get enough money to fix up this inn, she's writing local fluff pieces for the paper. And it's funny, I didn't even realize until I sat down to get ready for the video that I had two different books that both had women in the paper, running the paper. And it's funny because I kept getting the books a little bit confused in my mind sometimes, and now I think I know why. But anyway, so Sunny goes to live there, and while she's sent out to do this fluff piece about the local custodian, he has retired, and they just want a piece saying, like, the things that he did over his 40 or 50 years at the school, just something sweet. So she goes there to do that, and she turns out it's not quite as sweet as what she was led to believe. So there's a lot of controversy about him retiring. Did he retire? Was he forced to retire? What happened, that made it so he might have been forced to retire. A lot of rumors floating around and a lot of things that don't seem quite right. So while she's kind of learning all this, she somehow heads to the park. I can't remember if she just happened to be going there or maybe she heard police sirens. That part's a little fuzzy in my head. But anyway, somehow she ends up at the park and she can see that there's been a murder. And so she climbs this tree and she's kind of looking down at what's going on and seeing what the cops are doing. And this one police officer knows that she's up there and doesn't give her away. He waits till everybody else walks away and then he calls her Bluebird and asks what she's doing in the tree. And so it's like he starts off this, kind of a little bit of a relationship with her, a little banter back and forth. She discovers that the person who was killed is the custodian. So now she's got a whole other story that she wants to write. But that's not what her editor wants. Her editor wants her to, stick with what she knows and do a fluff piece. So there's a little bit of her trying to make her name for herself and trying to kind of scoop the reporter who was given this assignment. So a lot of twists and turns in this one. A lot of not really knowing whether it's what exactly is going on in the school. Something is, but you're not quite sure what happened or why this person was killed, if it even had anything to do with the school. So she starts investigating all of this and running into the police officer every now and again. And he's not really trying to stop her, but he's not encouraging her either. So it's very good. I really like the characters in it. I thought the police officer was quite sweet and endearing. She didn't always think so, but I thought he was. And the only thing I think near the end of the story, I think they set it up kind of for the next story, which makes sense. But they threw in a couple of little things that I thought, okay, well, sure, I guess. It's like kind of like a side story that didn't really need to be there, involving her sisters and a seance, for this ghost that supposedly haunts the inn and everything that goes with that. So like I said, I guess it is setting things up maybe for another book, but I didn't think it fit. So anyway, that was it was still a good story, and I would give that one a 4 out of 5. So I was quite pleased with it. I will try next time not to read two books where they have the same profession, so I don't confuse myself. But otherwise, it was great. So that's it for 2023. All the books are done that I'm going to read for that. I'm going to start in getting everything sorted for January, which, if you remember, is Sisters Month. So I'm going to start with that. And tonight we're just going to settle in, watch a movie. Um, you know, we're going to see in the new year fairly quietly. We don't tend to go out with the crowds. And we had some snow here yesterday, so might not have had a white Christmas, but we're going to have a white New Year's. Everything's got a lovely shine and coat to it. So I hope whatever you're doing tonight, you have Happy New Year and stay safe. All right, talk to you in the new year. Bye-bye.